Hi, I'm Josh Cadillac, and welcome to my podcast, Know Your Shit. I've been blessed to see great success, as well as seeing the bottom up close and personal in 2008. And if there's one lesson I've learned, is that if you want to have success and differentiate yourself from everyone else out there, you need to know your shit. As a successful real estate and crypto investor and an educator, it drives me insane that people do not immerse themselves in their craft. Everyone is so busy advertising and testing new sales techniques, they forget the most important thing, the product. Here I want to talk to the folks that got this right, the most successful people in the world in every industry. Bring them to you and find out what they learned in their business that made it great. When you listen to my podcast, you will know for sure that the topics and experts we have on have one thing in common. They know their shit. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us to be excellent. My name is Josh Cadillac, and I'll be in the driver's seat for today's show, and we have an amazing show for you today because we have with us today Jane Bond. Jane, thank you so much for coming on.
I'm happy to be here. It's the end of the year, and guess what? We're about to just march on through the next.
You know, and end of the week, end of the year, it's the end of all sorts of things going on here. That is absolutely true. So, Jane, so that I don't have to do a terrible job of this, why don't you tell our listeners here what it is that you do?
Well, my name is Jane Bond, and yes, that's my real name, guys. I'm born and bred. I am a real estate agent broker. Been one for about 13 years here in Naples. Got my license in 2010. Real estate sales, and then I went into brokerage in 2013. No, what is this? 2012. I got my license. Opened my brokerage. Yeah, got my brokerage license in 2012. Didn't open my brokerage until 2020. So
and what got you started in real estate?
Moving to Naples, there was actually nothing else to do. That's what everybody did here.
I go to Naples all the time, and I kid people that, like, if you don't eat dinner by 8 o'clock, they go off the sidewalks. Like, they just turn the lights off, and everybody goes home.
Well, I came straight from Manhattan, so you can imagine 15
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, culture shock. You went to the wrong side of the state. From Manhattan, that is like...
Josh,
yeah.
I didn't even know Naples existed.
Yeah,
okay? That is real talk. I didn't know Naples existed. Someone said to me, have you ever been to Naples? I said, no, Italy. And that was it. And next thing I know, I was here. And Naples has been really good to me as far as real estate is concerned. I wasn't in real estate in New York. I had my license, but I was only in real estate for a stint, maybe half a year. And I went into entertainment management as opposed to real estate. So I was familiar with real estate. So when I came here, and I had flipped a couple houses too, but never thinking I would go into real estate full, fledged. Which
it wasn't going to be your job.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't going to be your job. It was kind of a side hustle kind of thing.
Well, it wasn't even a side hustle. It became my job because the market had crashed in 2008. I was in Manhattan. I came to Naples, and actually, I got married, and that's what brought me to Naples. And like I said, I was an avid runner. I lived on the Upper East Side, so I was always in Central Park running. And got here, and it was too damn hot to run. And I didn't know what else to do. I was too young. I wasn't interested in golf. I didn't play too much tennis. I didn't even know what mahjong was. So I needed to work. I was here doing nothing. Just being
pickle wasn't a big deal back then.
Yeah, it was Naples was different back then.
It was.
No brown girls here, which was really interesting. And actually, there was no brown people here. So that was even more interesting for me.
Sure.
But I got my footing. I got my footing in real estate and climbed my way up, from selling $90,000 condos to $20 million, listings and doing well at it and still do well at it. And like I said, Naples has been very good to me.
So I think
speaking.
Good. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I said I love speaking. I've been doing quite a bit of motivational speaking and going on
Awesome.
that speaker circuit. And yeah, that's how I got here.
As somebody that both does real estate for a living and is a professional speaker, I totally know what you're talking about when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah. So we see eye to eye on that one.
Absolutely. This is always a question I love to ask people. Where do you think all the success came from for you?
To be honest with you, I guess how did I get there? Work, hard work, of course, understanding what it took because, I've been out here for almost 40 years working for myself. I've only had one job in my life, and that was a flight attendant. And I was only a flight attendant for a few years. Um, I think the confidence, the understanding, the traveling around the world, understanding how to deal with people of a certain, ilk and wealth,
Sure.
carrying myself a certain way and having those conversations and knowing that I had a seat at the table prior to the table being set. So I think that's where it came from. And coming from Manhattan, it teaches you how to work. That's the one thing I would say about
Gotta
living in
hustle.
the city.
When you're from the city, you gotta hustle.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're on every day. And who was it?
There's,
Norman
there's
Lear?
50 million Chinese restaurants. Why are they going to come to your Chinese restaurant, right? But it's a
Exactly.
thing. There's 10 people lined up to do better than you, what you're doing, which means you got to be on your game all day, ever. I'm a New Yorker originally, so I mean, once again, I know
Exactly.
exactly what you're talking. You've got to be on your games, or somebody's going to come in and take what you have. It's just the
Absolutely.
nature of it.
I think
Um,
it was Norman Lear who said, life is a production and you better show up and know how to act every day. He died at 101 years old and he did well for himself.
yeah, but there's a friend of mine. He's an actor on Broadway. He's been nominated for 3 Tony Awards at this point. He's
God
really
bless
good
him.
at what he does. Oh yeah, no, he's and honestly one of the most talented guys I ever. I knew him. He used to be a gym partner of mine. We used to play football together, and one of the most talented athletes. Never thought he'd turn into a song and dance man. Never had that figured, right? But super successful, got a beautiful family, really done well for himself. And I asked him, like, how have you? I mean, it's such a tough business to make
Yeah,
any headway in. He said, I'm there before everybody. I work harder than everybody, and I leave after everybody.
that's right.
Like the way we worked out in the gym, that grinding, that mentality of how can we make this harder and still show ourselves that we're going to stick in there.
That's right.
He says, everybody else is kind of trying to make it easier. And I'm trying to figure out how to challenge myself and prove to myself that I can still hang. And
I
it's
feel that movie.
that inner competition with yourself. Like there's nobody else playing the game but me, but I'm competing with me to
That's right.
see if I can get more out of me. Like, we
That's the
did this
power.
last. Yeah.
That's the
It,
power, baby.
when you consider the position that we're both in as being our own boss, we have to get that right because there's nobody else that's going to challenge us. That responsibility for cattle prod to posterior becomes our job. We have to take and cattle prod ourselves. It's kind of nuts, but it's part of the job. And if you don't get it right, what you miss
No,
out on is what you're actually capable of because you'll never find out if you're not pushing.
let me tell you something. A lot of people think success is a chase. It's unpacking your true ambition. That's what success is about. And once you unpack that, there's nobody that can they can't catch you. So it's definitely not in the chase,
Yeah,
and I always tell people don't chase the money has to chase you.
yeah,
And once you get good at that, don't worry about it, you'll be fine. And I understand because I was up, that's what changed my whole career here. I'm not going to say that I did well from out the gate. No, it took me 4 years. I was chasing my tail the whole time,
sure,
and I had that kind of worker mentality because I had never worked for anyone. And here it is, I had to hang my license with someone. And once I hung my license, I definitely felt like I had to perform because there were so many people around me outperforming me.
yeah,
And once I took on a coach and understood what the business meant and how to work it, there was no stopping me. So I
sure,
chased my tail for 4 years, trust me. And then
no,
when I figured it out, the light switch came on, just like, your friend. I was in the office and I was with Sotheby's at the time. I was in the office at 7 a.m. picking up the newspaper from the, front, putting the coffee on. People would come in and go, oh my God, the lights are on and everything. some of the top agents was coming to see me saying, I can't believe your work ethic. One, I
Mhm.
thought that's that New Yorker mentality.
Yeah,
And two, I thought I need to get to that board on both sides, just like you top girls. And they
that's it.
were, I mean, when I tell you, they were making money hand over fist. Who was making 600 grand a month? And that was like mind boggling to me. And all I could think is, I need to get myself on both sides of that board every day of the month, like they do.
That's
And
it.
that's the deal. I had to do the work, and it was all about the numbers. But also, when I got to a certain level, graduated from the 1 million to 3 million to 5 million, it was a different ball game. You know, that's where service, I mean, complete, utter service had to kick in.
Yep.
And I run into a lot of agents that say, I don't know how to change my price point. Well, you just change it. But when
Mhm.
you change it, make sure your service kicks in
Yeah,
and you
you
serve
have you have to
every
give something worthy of that. Yeah.
100%. You serve the same customer you served on a $200,000 listing. You give them that same service you give the $2 million listing, because
Yeah.
that you don't know if that $200,000 customer is going to give you your $5 million customer, because you don't know who they know.
100%. I had one that I did years ago. It was a short sale for a lady. It was a
Mm,
$30,000 short sale for her condo. 30 grand. And for me, everybody, every customer matters. My father
that's
taught me when I was a little boy, all work deserves to be done well. Doesn't matter what it is. It's
that's
picking
right.
up trash. You do it well, right? And so we took care of her, explained the whole thing, took her from start to finish, got her out, got a full release from the bank, got this albatross off her neck. She was so happy. Go to the closing. Her son, her son is the mayor or the head guy of Golden Beach, which is the only
No.
oceanfront single family homes in all of Miami-Dade County. The cheapest one on the ocean is like 10 million for a lot,
Hmm.
right? And the guy gave us 3 listings in Golden Beach from just
Unbelievable.
having taken care of this lady who wouldn't know who she was. Turned out it was his mom. And so,
Unbelievable.
you know, I don't do it for that reason. That's the byproduct of doing it the right way. I do it the right way because I'm the one doing it, and that's the kind of life I want to live. Right? I don't want
Absolutely.
to look back on my life and have the regret and sit here and say, "Hey, I phoned it in." Why should I phone it in? It's my friggin' life. I'm
Right.
just cheating me out of what I could have had. But before I go too far down that rabbit hole, because I feel like rabbit holes could be where we wind up, Jane, if we're not too careful, I want to ask you this. What do you like best about what you do?
Uh, I'm not going to lie, I do like my check.
I like the pay.
Actually, I really like meeting a lot of the clients that I have, because they're very interesting people. And especially here in Naples, because one thing, there's a lot of people here that have made their wealth differently. And I call it oddities of wealth. And
Sure.
it's very interesting when you meet someone that took nothing and made it mega something, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting for me. I have an interior design background, so I love that. I love going into a space and being able to look it over and know exactly what to do with it to give it its best look. And, I always say, and I guess that comes from my entertainment background, the property is the star, not me.
Absolutely.
Accolades after I sell, because, I don't care who gets the listing. If you don't sell it, it means nothing. No one remembers that you listed it. But if you sell that baby, everyone knows. So
Absolutely. No, I mean,
that's
I
it.
couldn't agree. The trick is also, and tell me if I'm on the right page with this. This is how I think about it, because I like that idea. The house is the star. You got
Hmm.
to cast the house in the right kind of movie. You can't take Sylvester Stallone and put him in the movie with his mom where Mama's got a gun. He doesn't do well in that situation. You put him in Rocky, you put him in Rambo. He's a rock star, right? And so it's figuring out how to cast that house in the best possible light and make
That's
sure you
right.
put it in a position to shine. And that's kind of what they're bringing us in to do. Whether that's, hey, look, we need to repaint the front door because it's got a bunch of dirty handprints on it, to, hey, maybe we need to stage this room. I mean, people always think it's like staging and all. It doesn't necessarily need to
Yeah,
be the thing. I got to manage the emotional state of that buyer
that's
so that
right.
when that buyer gets that view from the living room, they go, "Oh my God, we have to buy it."
if they're already at no because that front door was dirty,
And that
it's
happened.
can't get them back from no all the way to yes. But if I
That's
keep them at maybe till they get to that best part of the house, then I've allowed that house to really shine at its best, to be its best version of itself. And this is something, this is the crazy thing. The place, the space that I'm in when I teach real estate stuff is all the stuff that they never told me and all the millions of classes that I ever took. Nobody ever, curb appeal is what they tell me.
oh,
I,
fantastic.
what the hell is that? I want to talk to that seller. That my
Hmm.
job is to manage that buyer's emotional state to make
Well, you
sure
know
that.
that they
I'm
made
sorry. What?
classes. I said, you know what they call that? Emotional intelligence. They came up with that. It's a whole
Yeah,
class.
absolutely. There's just so much that the people that make it in real estate do that never trickles its way down to the folks that are trying to make it in real estate. And the classes are all this very superficial stuff. But
Totally.
one thing that to me, setting that house up to be successful is a big part of what we on the listing side need to tell the customer we're doing. And
That's
if they
right.
don't know what we're doing, if we don't bring stuff to the table, if we're just sitting there saying, "Hey, sign this agreement," why the hell should I work with you? I mean, it's question number one that we as agents need to answer. Why the hell should I work with you?
Right.
I automatically assume that's what the customer is thinking, and I feel like they deserve to A, ask that question, and B, I'm responsible to answer that question. And most agents,
Agents, they don't understand. They said, why do the agents always get the best listings? Well, they have a track record. People know what they do. They like their work. I know agents that don't even go to the photography set. How can you not go when your listing is being shot by a stranger who has never been in the house?
yep,
And you know exactly what's going on in the house. You sat down with the customer explained to you what they've done, what they've upgraded, and not you don't even show up for the showing. I don't even have my customers never have lock boxes because I show up because
sure.
I've sat with my customer and my customer has told me XYZ, and we're not a first time homeowners market here.
No,
We're
you're
a
not.
third, fifth homeowners market here. These
Mm-hmm.
guys put a lot of money into their properties. They're beautiful. You don't put a lockbox on anybody's property here. And if you do, that's sad. And even if the property is under a million, you need to show up because the only person that can explain what has gone on or what has transpired in that home is you. You sat with that customer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he said, I'm going to have you list my home.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Absolutely.
to, you know?
It's on in our high end market on this side of the state. It is the exact same. In fact, on Sunny Isles Beach, for instance, almost none of the buildings even allow you to let somebody in unless the
Absolutely.
listing agent companies. It's required by the building that the listing agent accompanies. And especially on high end homes, where they have the Corinthian marble flown in on the
Oh,
back of pubs and carved by blind monks. They're going to tell you about, all this stuff. And like you look at it and it's like, well, it's a stone countertop. All right. I mean, but there's people that care about this. And we have, if it matters to them and they paid for it, part of what I'm looking for is the buyer that's sharing that same brain damage that made them spend a fortune on that thing. There's other people. It's kind of like art. There's some art that I look at and I'm like, man, that looks like a 3-year-old puked on a canvas. But there's people that pay millions of dollars for it, right?
right.
And I realize I don't get it. But that doesn't matter. As long as there's some other guy out there that gets it that'll pay millions of dollars for it, I'm okay,
That's
right?
right.
And so it's getting your head wrapped around kind of what they're into and what made them do what they did, and then finding those people that you either are into it or that you can get excited about what they did and make them want it. It's a
It's
thing.
also the onus is also on the agent. If you want to play in that sandbox, you better do your research. You should know
Sure.
what you're looking at. You should, and not only that, you should align yourself with all the resources that one might need. I have this one agent, and I said to her, I said, listen, don't think for 1 minute that someone that's wealthy is not looking for inexpensive money.
Okay.
And you should have somebody in your pocket, wealth manager, some type of banker that you know that you can introduce them to. I'm talking the best tile guy. Every handyman can't go into a $5 million house if he's used to, doing $300,000 homes. Where's your resources? Who have you aligned yourself with? Who's your
Uh,
media partners? I ask these questions all the time because this is a business where you want to up your game each time. And if you can't bring all those resources to the table or in your pocket, you don't know what that customer is going to ask. And not only here in our market, these guys are savvy. They're
Sure. They made a lot of money. They made a lot of money. They didn't do it by being stupid.
well, that's
Right?
what I'm saying, Josh. These are titans that have laid their captain's hats down here,
Yep.
and they're used to dealing with people, and they're used to dealing with employees. They want the best of the best because that's whom they have hired in their past, and they still think they're the boss. So you got to give
Absolutely.
your hat off to them
Absolutely. And I mean, sometimes it's that they want to take that mantle back on of being the captain of the ship again and
all the
feel
time.
in control thing.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's just that they've developed this incredible BS meter because that's the only way to be successful, to know who's full of crap and who's not.
That's
Um,
right.
this is how they've hired. This is how they've been successful. It's always interesting to me, the skill set that people are successful. And the other thing that you said that I think you absolutely nailed, the cheapest people that I know are the wealthiest people that I know. Like,
How do you think that's so
only
wealthy?
in some things.
Money.
Only in some things. Look, they will pay tons of money for something. I'm like, why would anybody want that thing? Yet they're pissed because the tile guy charged them 25 cents, 5 cents more a square foot to do something that, it's nuts to me. But at the end of the day, especially if somebody built something from nothing, having to watch every nickel. The stories about Rockefeller and how crazy he was over every nickel that he spent. The guy's a billionaire and he's worried about every few cents because that was the only road to get to where he wound up getting there. That was actually what wound up making him successful at the end
The
of the
key
day.
is he got there.
Say that
He
again?
arrived there.
Yeah, he
That's the
got it.
key. The key word is he was there, so he understands what it takes to get there. And he's not going to let someone come in and just do what they want and think they deserve it without working for it. And I get
Sure.
that too. And
Well,
I
I mean,
can tell you a story. When I got my largest listing here, and I was always used to handling everything for my client. This client was a little bit different. They
mhm,
wanted to have the guest list of, when I was launching the property. People ask me, "Are you going to have a brokers open?" No, we don't have brokers open at this level. We launched this property like it's a superstar, like it's on
mhm,
its way to the Emmys or the Golden Globes or something like that. And I
mhm,
said, not only that, you know, they wanted my guest list. They wanted to see the photographer or the videographers I was using. They wanted to know which valet service and I had to run it by them. They took the reins, but they approved everything, which made me feel good. And the
sure.
best part of that was I never met the owner. I met the
Mhm,
liaison.
mhm.
And I remember calling my mother going, "Mom, I must have made it. I'm meeting with the liaison,
He is.
the
Yeah.
liaison." Right? So then I'm at the party. Everything's going well. Everybody's there. Top agents, all the magazines, newspapers. We done laid this thing out. And this little lady comes up to me and she says, "You're somebody I'm told I should meet." Very unassuming. And I'm at the elevator greeting people and she's leaving. So she's been there the whole time watching.
Mhm.
And she said, "I'm Mrs. So and so." I couldn't believe it because it could have went so wrong. Depending on who you are and what you do and how you keep yourself and present yourself, I could have gave her a look like, "Who are you? How did you get in here?" It could have went any kind of way. She could have caught me at a bad moment. That was the owner.
Oh,
That was
wow.
the owner.
Nice.
And she said to me, I said to her, once she told me who she was, and I'll put her name, we call her Mrs. Z. I wrote her name in my book, Mrs. Z, because I don't want anybody to know her name. But when she told me her name, I was just like, oh my God. I grabbed her. I said, "Thank you." I said, "You're changing my life, whether you
Mhm,
know it. And
mhm,
I said, "Did you like what you seen?"
mhm.
And she said, "Yes, I did. Thank you very much." And she said, "You have a good night." And gave me 3 more listings after that. And not only did I list it, I sold it. And that
That's
was the
good. You can't just talk the talk. You got to walk the walk. You got to get it done. It's interesting because when you think about it and you think about these high net worth people, these people that are the kind of people that we're talking about, they're used to being the person in the room that's most capable. And for them to take,
absolutely.
and there are two groups of them. There are those that are supreme delegators, and there are those that are micromanagers. And you have to recognize that you're going to probably run into a fair share of both, and figure what the extremes of that are, and figure out how you're going to work either one of them, and
Yep.
still show yourself as an indispensable resource. Because at the end of the day, they're bringing us in because they got a real estate problem. It's
Yeah.
our ability to show them that I've thought through your problems. I've thought them through so much that the next 10 questions you got lined up to ask, I'm going to answer them for you before you get a chance to ask, because you're coming up my rodeo now. This is what I do. Let me tell you what you need, what you care about. Then let me tell you the 10 questions you're going to ask. Here's the answer to all those questions. Are we ready to go yet? Right? And so it's a thing. Let me ask you this, though, Jane. What do you think makes you good at what you do?
I think more so than anything, my service,
Okay.
showing up,
Yeah.
being there, answering my phone, even when I have to eat the frog. Um,
Oh,
Never
yeah.
being afraid, never being afraid, no fear, no doubt of my work ethic and my service, and just
Sure.
never being afraid. And a lot of people are afraid of their own shadows. I'm confident enough in my work and my work ethic that I get the job done. And
Makes
I
sense.
think that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me soaring and deciding if they want to hire me. I got at one point I remember thinking, Jane, you know what? They're never going to say yes to you the first time. I'm like 6 feet tall, giant hair, big glasses. When you see me, I'm not what you think. My name is Jane Bond. So I walk through the door, and half of them never knew what hit them when I was at the door and I rang or I knocked. So
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting here. That was very interesting for me. And
Mm-hmm.
then knowing what I was looking at when I came into the place from my background, I did my research. A lot of them, I cold call quite a few people. That's the way I brought my price point up. And so when they see me, I'm not what they expect. And once they talk to me, I'm nowhere near what they expected.
And
And
that's where it's at.
yeah, I think that's where the secret sauce lies in my success for me. It's not a feel good concept, it's work.
Sure.
So,
I mean, I one of the big things that I teach agents, and I'm curious to see what your thought on this is that the perception that the customer has, the default perception, kind of like the default printer, like when you push print, where does it spit out? The default perception that customers have
everything.
of real estate agents is not a good one, right? They think that we're lazy, not very smart, overpaid, and all we care about is commission. That's the first negotiation I'm walking into. I need to change their perception. I can't let them perceive me as a real estate agent, because if they put me in that box,
Oh,
that's not a very flattering box to me getting their business and being able to build the kind of relationship I need going
absolutely.
forward. And so I think that what you're saying is, you're tall, you're like, they're forced to, whoa, you're way different than what I was expecting. It knocks them out of that paradigm and says, well, I guess I have to take and judge you based upon what you're bringing, as opposed to my picture of what a real estate agent is over here that I
Absolutely.
got rolling around the back of my head. It's such an important part, I've always thought.
Well, I always tell agents, it's definitely how you show up, not in just the way you speak. And you can't show up, I always say, I always make this analogy. There's a huge difference between Louis Vuitton and Louis Vuitton or Louboutin, the red bottom shoes and and all those baubles and big designer labels, they don't care about that. They get that confused. When you show up, you don't know who you're meeting. You don't need to know if you, especially in
Right.
Miami or Naples, you don't know if you're meeting the grandmother, the grandfather, the boyfriend and the boyfriend, the mistress and the wife and the husband. You don't know who you're meeting. So
Yep.
you need to show up understanding that you have to cater to a gamut of people and a gamut of personalities. So
Mm-hmm.
your job is to show up professional at all times. Don't take anything for granted.
And
Don't go in there looking like you went out last night
yep.
for a presentation, and have your presentation together, and hopefully you have a track record. And if you don't, you better knock them off their socks.
Yep. No, it's a thing. I mean, and the crazy thing is, no matter what they come up with, because that's the other piece with people that are high net worth, some of them could be just downright nuts. Some of them could just be out of their mind crazy, and they get away with it because they have enough money and power that people just put up with it and tolerate it. I mean, especially, oh my gosh, some of the folks that are like the celebrities that we've dealt with, I mean, just out of their mind,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and demands and just weird stuff. And if you let it knock you off your game, I'm sorry, you just prove that you don't belong in that,
Right.
in
I
that
love the
water.
ones that say, I'm going to give you 30 days to list and sell this property. Oh, I'm desperate. I'm really desperate. First of all, I need to saturate the market. Second of all, I need to make all kinds of phone calls, emails, get it in the listing. I mean, come on, dude. Are you serious?
Absolutely.
I know you think this is the best of the best, and because everybody think their house or whatever is the top. And most of the time it is. It is at the top, but there are others that are at the top also. And
Absolutely.
you can't be afraid to talk to that client.
Nope.
If you're afraid to talk to your client, then that's a problem. If you're intimidated because they're wealthy already, you already have a problem.
You're
You got to
done.
meet right where they are, and be bold enough to talk. When I go into my presentations, especially now, the first thing I ask my customers is your back up against the wall in any which way? Because
Mhm.
then I'll get a customer that says, you know what, Jane, I really don't need to sell. Well, can I
Yeah.
ask you a question, Mr. Seller? Why are we here today? Are
Yeah.
you wasting my time or are we just hanging out, meeting each other? I said, because I'm here to sell your property. And if you
Mhm.
don't need to sell, I don't get it.
You may
You need to sell.
Yeah. So I don't list homes. I sell homes. If you want to
Exactly.
list homes, there's a whole. Here's the
Yeah.
active list of listings. These are all the losers who can't sell the home. Here's mine. Mine are all in the closed sales section. Yeah, I sell my stuff. So here's the thing. We got to understand, if you don't really want to sell, you got the wrong person here.
Right.
My job is to bring this sucker home. I score
Yeah.
touchdowns. I don't take and just shoot for first downs here. Right?
Exactly.
Totally. It's a conversation that needs to be had. And it's one of those interesting, because I hear the stuff that you're talking about, and when I teach negotiation, this is one of the things that I'm always talking about, is the idea that I know what the negotiation is going to be before I ever walk in. They're going to negotiate price, how long the listing is going to be, how we're going to
Absolutely.
show. There's a handful of things that I know that seller is going to want to discuss. I'm going to start negotiating that before they ever start talking about it. Before they ever bring it up, I'm negotiating. They don't even realize I'm negotiating. I'm negotiating it already because I assume it's what I'm going to have to deal with. Why wouldn't I get out in front of it? The way I say it is, bring a bazooka to a knife fight. I want to be over prepared. I want to blow them up. Their arguments that they've been working on, blow them out of the water. Because when
Yeah.
you do that,
And
all of a
don't
sudden,
let somebody that comes up before you that gives them all their demands. And you're like, wait a minute. No, that's not how this works. It's called negotiations for a reason.
it forces them to respect you.
That's
Because
right.
here's the thing, especially people like that, and most of them, if you don't push back some, they're never going to respect you.
No.
Because if they run right over you, they know that's exactly what the other side is going to do to you when it comes time to negotiate the sale of this house. You have to show them you got a backbone, you got the ability to stand up for yourself, because otherwise you haven't done anything worthy of respect. Yeah, you got a real estate license. So does everybody in Florida. Right?
Everybody, even the person you're talking to, probably the seller.
The guy that delivers the bread to the store has got his real estate license, for Pete's sake. I mean, everybody does.
It's
So,
funny, I tell you.
yeah,
Never
more
knew.
people have a real estate license than a driver's license here, it seems like.
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you, like you said, when I first came here, I didn't know agents had a bad name. I didn't know that real estate agents were looked down upon. And that made me feel bad that I didn't even carry business cards for a while. I was just
Yeah.
like, they'll remember my name. It's 2 syllables. I'm not going to worry about it. Nobody looks like me here. So I can't imagine. And then when I did print my cards up, I just printed them because I needed to give something, in return. They're giving me a card. Now I'm feeling bad. But
Yeah.
and it wasn't being arrogant. It was just feeling like, they probably think, wow.
I don't want to get in that club.
Yeah, it felt ilky.
Yeah, no,
And
look, you're preaching I don't have my picture on my cards. I mean, I'm like, it's like, as you said, the house is the star. What the hell do they want to see a picture of me for? I don't even want to see a picture of me. Like, why the hell should they want to see? Oh, you're
yeah,
branding. Whatever. It is what it is. Look,
today when I see these agents, and I try not to talk about it too much, but when I see them on Instagram twirling around and they're showing a house and the video is moving so fast and everybody is a commentator now. Everybody talks about real estate. Everybody, I call them the fake gurus. And I want to know, what have you done or what are you doing? And then if not, they rented somebody's jet or they're sitting on somebody's yacht or, this is lifestyle. And I'm like, dude, wow, it has really changed.
Well,
And
I
it's
mean, that there's a whole other piece to this.
it's the branding.
It's more than that. There is so much pleasure that is taken in trying to make the rest of the world jealous of you. It is like everybody is out there trying to one up each other on how jealous they are of each other. And you know what? I mean, just sitting at my home watching a great movie last night, I'm thinking, how much happier could I possibly be than where I am right now?
Yippee-ki-yay, baby.
Even then, I was like, I want to watch a Christmas movie.
I'm gonna give you a virtual high five.
It's a great movie. It really, Bruce Willis at his best.
Exactly.
So let me ask you, it's kind of a change of pace. What do you see as the opportunity in the market today? And anything you want to comment on is fair game.
The market is so different right now. Everybody talks about pivoting, shifting, and those are the new buzzwords. But the market is kind of here. And when I speak about the market, I'm only speaking about my market because that's what
Sure.
I know. I'm not some generalization person. In our market, because of Ian, and you're close to me, so you get Ian. Irma did nothing compared to what Ian did to us. Ian ripped our shoreline to pieces. But the people here, they were able to bounce back. It's all about adaptability. And
Sure.
that's the business landscape, no matter which way we look at it, no matter what business you're in. That business landscape will always shift. We have interest rates. Well, interest rates don't affect us. That's something different. We're cash market. Wait, let me take that back. We're not a cash market. Cash is king. In my market, cash is King Kong. So it's a little bit different here. So
Yeah.
the interesting part about that is, since Ian hit us and ripped us to shreds, our market has bounced back tenfold. We have so many developers that have come here and built up new hotels, new developments, $40 million penthouses on the beach. I mean, we're going crazy over here.
Mhm.
However, the inventory is coming back strong. The beautiful thing, the buyers are coming here to buy it. So
Sure.
when our market is just a little bit different. I can't speak for everybody, and I think our market, and actually when 2008 hit us, going up to 2011, we were one of the first people to bounce back. We're
Sure.
second behind Palm Beach as a cash market. We're
Yep.
just a little bit different than Palm Beach. We have a little more sophisticated, and our demographics are changing rapidly, and our footprint has shifted. So
Sure.
that's the beautiful thing about my market. And I always tell agents, well, they say, Jay, we don't have that kind of real estate in our markets. I said, well, listen, sell the filet mignon of your, the steak cuts several different ways. Sell the filet mignon of that steak. So, don't compare yourself to my market, because our market is always going to be different.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that makes sense.
we're a little flat when it comes to, our sales right now, but we do have the inventory, and now it's our season. So if you were to come back and ask me this question again in 6 months, May, June, I could probably answer it with an amazing answer because I know we're going to kill it.
Yeah.
They're coming here like gangbusters. So
I love it. I'm always curious to hear what everybody sees. I mean, I always ask, no matter where I'm teaching. I teach all over the U.S. And do you have enough supply to match the demand that you have? And that's one of the interesting things. I have not been to one market, and I was just in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, triple play, Montana, you name it. I've been all over the U.S. There has not been one agent that has told me there is enough supply of houses right now to match the number of ready, willing, and able buyers that exist today, which means our market is still in shortage. And as long as market is still in shortage, when there's more demand than there is supply, prices only can go one way, and they have to go up.
24 and 25. By the end of, I say mid 24, early 25, we will have so much inventory it won't be funny. They're
It could be.
building.
I could see that on the commercial side. On the residential side, I am a licensed general contractor builder, and I know in Naples we are seeing some construction. Um, in the rest of the state, we are so far below what actual capacity that we can build is, because the risk to be a builder right now, it is some of the highest risk behavior that you can get into. This is uh, incredibly risky behavior because of the problems with both the supply line, supply chain. Supply chain is still not worked out. The debt, the kind of debt that we have to take on, if mortgage interest rates are 7.5%, 8%, my construction debt, I'm looking at north of 10% money that I'm paying for that to build. There's so many things. Labor, oh my gosh, labor costs through the roof.
Shortage.
Yeah, no, my brother sent me a picture the other day from Phoenix, Arizona. He lives in Phoenix, Arizona, outside of an In-N-Out. Help wanted starting $19 an hour.
Wow.
I say it on here all the time. If I'm going to pay a dishwasher $19 an hour to work inside, what do I have to pay a rough carpenter? And God help me, a finished carpenter now, right? And so that house that I could have built for $400,000, well, now it's a $500,000 house. The thing is, the comps aren't to a place where I can get $500K for that house. So I still can't build that house, which means if I'm going to build them, I have to slow roll them out. I can't bring them in. So the numbers that I had seen was we have about 2 million new households being formed looking for housing, and about 1.4 million houses being built per year. And that's been going on for the last several years, basically since the housing crash. So we're actually several million homes behind where we need to be. And there's really not a road to fix that, especially with the continuous change in how we have to build the homes, the energy efficiency guides and all that stuff that come out. It just makes the same house more expensive. So I know that's not really your market being the high-end market. That's the high-end market is like it's much more
all day long here. So, I get that, as far as, especially in metropolis, in big metro cities. We just don't have, that's not my market, I get that. These guys are building homes. I had some guy ask me, do you have any $4 million lots over there we can buy, James, so we can build a beautiful home on? We're talking lots.
Uh-huh. No, I get it. As I said to you, I have Golden Beach here. There's, that short little half-mile stretch. That's it. Only single-family homes on the ocean in all of Miami-Dade County. You want to build on the ocean, it's one of those lots. You got to figure out what your kids you like least to sell into slavery in order to pay for it. I mean, it's bazillions of dollars for every lot. It's crazy.
John, we're only 16 miles. We don't have much miles. We don't have any beach left. We got the Ritz-Carlton building its residence, and that's because something else was destroyed. We got the Four Seasons coming. I mean, we have Metropolitan Naples coming. We got the Perkins family that just landed here, and they're building $10 million homes all over the place. Yep. It's just a different market. We're not a big city,
Nope.
But the side of that is almost 1,500 agents joined our board in December. That's unheard of in the history of Naples. So they're coming here. Yeah, they're coming.
It's good stuff. No, I've spoken at the Naples board before. It's a good little operation they have there. I like Naples. I mean, I speak in Tampa like 50 some odd times a year, it seems like, and so I drive past you all the time on my way there.
Okay, I'll wave next time, or you wave at me. I'll see you.
We'll definitely connect.
Tampa has been growing. I have to say.
Oh my God, Tampa is.
They've been exploding, and I've been looking up at looking there and around there. But it's a different market again. I mean, I feel privileged, honored to work in this market. I just got lucky. I just was plopped here and figured it out and said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to go here.
No, I mean, as you look up, and this is the crazy thing about Florida, regardless of what kind of life, unless you love the mountains, that's about the one thing I can't get you. Yeah. But I mean, depending upon the pace of life that you want, you move up and down that coast from the Panhandle on down, you could pretty much find anything that you want. That's if you want until 3 o'clock in the morning, come see me. We got, Miami. You want Chinese food at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's the closest thing you're going to get to Manhattan. That's what we got. You want something that's a little bit more small town feel and whatever, but still beautiful, high. Naples, man. You go to the Panhandle. You want to feel like you're in the South. Go to the Panhandle. You go to the tip of the Panhandle, like man, you think you're in New Orleans with all
Yeah.
the cooking, just about anything you want. It's a very
It's an
interesting place.
interesting, we're in an interesting part of the world here, or part of the country, for lack of better words. Um, from what I don't want to hear I live in paradise one more time, but we do have a unique situation here, being here.
It ain't bad.
It ain't bad. I'm not gonna, the cold weather. I can take the cold weather because I'm from the north, and you just dress up in your ugly fashion, but you still look
Yeah.
good. But sometimes I think about it. I drive around this place. It's clean. Everybody's respectable. Nobody's gonna clunk me upside my head if I'm going to my car at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's something to be said about living in a place like that. It's a little too hot sometimes for me, but
True.
we are in a beautiful area. We are in a beautiful place.
This is the thing that you said that I think is so interesting, because there's kind of this thing as New Yorkers, like you always are going to say, look, I'm tough enough to take it. Like I could take the cold. The question is, do you want to anymore, right? Because that's like the place you get to. Like I could, like I say this all the time to my guys, like I could get up in that crawl space and show you how this is done, but I don't want to anymore. It's 140 degrees up there. I don't want to do it anymore. I know I can. I've proved it, but like I'm over it a little bit.
And I like a little tan in my skin, even though I'm brown. I get a little caramel colored.
You know what? You got it. Flaunt it. For the rest of us, they can turn lobster red. I mean, for all. Oh my gosh! It took me years to get my first tan. It was not a pretty, not a pretty story. Not at all. But anyway,
Go outside and boom, there it is. I'm like, oh my goodness.
you know what? First world problems for those of us. For those that understand, they're sitting there saying, "Grr." It's a thing. It's a thing. So, what do you think is the most important thing you've learned in the process of doing what you do?
Being nice to people.
Good one.
People. I've learned to have more patience, and I've given a lot, especially to agents, because a lot of agents have an employer mentality, which drives me crazy, and they don't realize it's their own business, and you need to own it.
Yep.
And run it like it's yours. I'm here. You have to understand, I'm your partner. Bring something to the table here, And then I tell them, the new ones, when you're out there, you're interviewing to hang your license, know that you're interviewing them also, and they're just not interviewing you.
Sure.
It starts with you negotiating for what you want. And if you don't even know how to do that, go live in the world a little bit longer first. Or talk to your parents, somebody. But get this employer mentality out of your head. And I've just learned to be a little more patient, and a little more nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always a giver. Anytime you meet me, I'm always giving you advice and trying to help you. If you tell me you're new, you're just starting. And it's a lot. I mean, it's exhausting.
It really
But
is.
I think being nicer out of this business. And like I said, it's been good to me. I've worked hard for it, though. Nobody gave me anything. I worked for it. So, that's what I've learned, to be patient and be nice.
I can tell you a story about that just popped in my head. I hadn't thought about this in a long time, but I remember going to it was somebody's, like, I don't know, a big birthday, or maybe it was somebody's wedding. I forget what it was, but the person that was speaking was a younger person talking about their father, and he said one of the most important things my father ever taught me was you wave to everybody, even if you're not sure who they are. You always wave to everybody and give them a smile.
That's right.
And so it kind of stuck with me. And I used to go running, Florida, like just a pair of shorts and go running, right? And in the middle of summer, because it's super hot, still trying to get that tan, right? And there's anytime a car would go by in my neighborhood, I just wave, and so I don't know who the hell anybody was. I mean,
Exactly.
I don't talk to my neighbors. Like, I'm still that much of a New Yorker. Like, I don't talk to as a New Yorker, like, you don't talk to your neighbor. You don't talk to anybody. Like, even the crazy guy in his underwear on the subway, you definitely don't. You don't even act like they're alive, right? How to actively ignore human beings. That is a New Yorker trait right there. But anyway, so, like, I go get a haircut one day, and I'm checking out, and the gal at the counter says, I know you. You're the guy that smiles and waves to me all the time when you're out running. I said, yeah. She said, sometimes I'm having a bad day, and that just makes everything better. And I was like, man,
That's right.
The impact that you're capable of having on somebody's life by just doing the smallest of things. It doesn't seem like it, but you know, it's it's living life in such a way that you don't have to have regrets of the opportunities that you didn't even realize were opportunities that you potentially missed. It just takes the chance that maybe you could have done something worthwhile and not doing it by just simply doing the right thing whenever you can, doing the best thing that you can. I don't know if that's even the right thing, just doing a good thing whenever you can. It's
Absolutely. And not only that, you never know what anybody's going through. A smile,
mm-hmm,
because I'm so tall and so forth. I used to walk around thinking people was looking at me and in a bad way
sure,
because they might not have been smiling, and I looked up and I'm not looking, smiling, and I'm thinking all kinds of negative thoughts when I was younger. And my dad, same thing. He told me, he said, you know what? You should smile at everybody. Just smile. You don't have to stop and talk to them. When you go by, smile and say hello. And one thing someone told me yesterday in my office, they said, you know what? Every time I see you, you always smile and say hello. And I've never known your name. And I said to myself, wow, that's true. And it's just something about it. You, you have to be open. That's what I want to say. Because
yeah,
as long as you're open, you never know what's coming your way or who you're going to meet or how you're going to get through things with people. When
sure,
you're open, people look at you and say, wow, that might be someone I want to talk to. So you don't know
yeah.
what opportunity that's coming your way or you might miss.
I think it also, surprisingly, as much as we have in the U.S., I mean, we are so wealthy compared to the rest of the world. We have so much stuff. I challenge
Absolutely.
everybody listening, go sit and watch people go by and look at how many of those faces are just unhappy. How few people have a smile on their face. If you just smile, it automatically makes you stand out
That's
from the
right.
rest of everybody who's
That's
leading
right.
these lives of quiet desperation, right? All of a sudden, you're a person, and people want to figure out how the hell they get whatever it is you got because
Yeah,
you seem like you got the thing that they've been looking for, which is how to have a good time doing this thing.
absolutely. Your energy, people feel your energy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Around you. I always tell people, when you walk through a room, I remember this woman, she said to me, and I thought, wow, I'm so flattered. She said, she came over to me. She said, I don't know what you're doing because I was at this event. She said, and I don't know what you're doing here and what you're doing. She said, but I want to know you and I want to be a part of what you're doing. And she
Mm,
said, you just give off this great energy. And I said, well, actually, I'm really excited about things in my life. And you probably felt that energy. And most of the time, I am excited about things because, I never want to feel like I'm in a box. I never want to dream in a box. You know, I'm going through this thing now, and I'm thinking I'm unpacking my life.
hmm
That's a beautiful thing. And I
Sure.
try to talk to people about unpacking their lives. I just had a seminar yesterday called "Unpack Your Life," and I don't want to ever be that in the box dreamer because when you're in the box, nothing happens. I want to
Sure.
walk with no fear, no doubts. I don't want to have anything unhealthy weighing on my soul ever again. I don't want to be in unhealthy relationships. I just want to live a peaceful life. If I have to cut all the toxic ties to live, love at a distance and live at a place of freedom, I'm happy. So,
But you got
a
to,
lot of people, yeah, and it's not easy to come to that decision. So when I say unpack your life, trust me, I'm meeting whomever there
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's important to
No,
me.
you know what? It's great advice that nobody usually ever has fully implemented themselves. Like it's one of
Exactly.
those things. I was talking to somebody. I said, look, it's not that I get this right. It's that it's obviously what we got to do. I'm on my way. Come join me on this road trip. I mean, like we both know it's what's got to happen. We just got to take and get there, right? And so it's a thing. It really is this idea of this life is a journey of figuring out what we're supposed to do and then implementing it as fully as we can with the time that we got left. If I get hooked into and locked into feeling bad about how much I screwed it up in the past, that's a whole pitfall in and of itself. That's lost. All I can use that for is reference to make sure I don't do those dumb things again and start working toward doing the better thing that's really out there to get done. To make the rest of, what's the line they say, to make the rest of your life the best of your life, right?
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Adversity always gives us a challenge. And you get to know yourself better when it happens. Because at that point, that's where the adaptability comes in. And if you are able to adapt, and again, I'll say that's in business also, because that's your secret sauce most of the time, being able to adapt and I'll use the cool words again, shift and pivot. But that's what life is about. Loss is loss. And we lose a lot of things. We lose family, we lose money, we lose homes. Look what Ian did to, our shoreline. We had to adapt. So, when I talk about unpacking your life, it goes across the board. You have to release a lot of those unhealthy things to gain the emotions, to bring them back together, bring yourself back together and be resilient. Yeah. Because we all have some resiliency in us. It's just accurate.
Yeah, no, the knock is, right, if you face adversity and you let yourself fold, you've now built momentum up as the kind of person that folds, right? Mm-hmm. And this is the tough thing because everything you do informs you as to who it is that you're dealing with because we spend our lives figuring ourselves out. I mean, I deal with so many people and they're like, I can't. Why? So like one of the things I teach a ton of is I teach a lot of math. I teach a lot of investment math because when it comes to real estate and investment real estate, believe it or not, the investors care about the freaking numbers. If you can't do the numbers, you're out. You're dead.
If they don't work, you're out.
And if numbers don't work, or if they find a mistake in your numbers, you're dead. You're dead, right? And so I have so many people, I'm bad at math. That is a narrative they have drilled into their own head.
That's right.
I say, look, just give me a fair shake. Give me a shot. I'll get you there, but you got to take and throw that garbage out. Mm-hmm. And there's always this beautiful moment with people who are like, I guess I can do math.
Well, that was easy,
Yeah, no, it helps them to redefine themselves no longer as this limited version, but as this version that has this potential to, wait a second, I bought this lie for how many years? Oh my God, how many other lies have I been telling myself? Like if you just carry the logic through. And so it's figuring out how to get on the other side of that and to prove to yourself. Because one of the cool things is, I can tell from you and me, we're both the sickies that love persevering. We love to get to the other side of things. Still, they came for me. There's their bodies over there. They can't take it. Right? We like it. It's what keeps us, it's what reminds us, hey, you don't mess with me, right?
That's right.
But not everybody takes advantage of that. Not everybody looks at that as a challenge and like takes so much pleasure in what it's going to feel like on the other side of it that they're willing to endure how bad it gets in the moment. And it's figuring out how to get those folks, rather than fearing the failure, to think how sweet the victory is.
That's
to
right.
get them to focus on that. If I can get them to taste the sweet nectar of what victory is like, to get it in their head that they can win, and they can win today, and they can win tomorrow, and that's called the winning streak. And now they're a winner, right? And now it's just a matter of keeping that song going. And when they lose, it's like, I remember when I was reading Joe Torre's book about the '98 Yankees, and he was talking about they'd win 7 in a row, and they have a 4-game series, and they lose one of the 4 games. They come in the next day and they're pissed that they lost. Like they came in expecting to win every freaking game.
Yeah.
And what a place that to be. I mean, there's points in my business where it's clicking like that, where it feels like, let me just put my hands on something, it's going to go. And there's other times where even just getting the key in the door seems like it's going to, like I'm going to have to call the locksmith to get me in the office, like it's fighting me every step of the way.
I've been there. I've been there. I'm kind of there. So I've been there. that is, you got to lift that weight off you. And sometimes when you go in these depression moments, everybody does. I think
Sure,
COVID, you get in these depression moments, but you got to fight. You got to fight your way out of that,
sure.
because if not, it will take you down that dark tunnel. And the worst thing that could happen is you don't come back out, and you need to come back out sooner rather than later. And I always think, if he can do it, if Josh can do it, if I'm here in front of Josh and he's teaching me and he can do it, Josh, I'm coming for you. I'm going
Let's
to
go.
do it too.
Let's
And
go.
not only am I going to do it, I'm going to make you proud of me. And hopefully you'll ask me to be your partner. That's what I look at. I look at things like that all the time. I never think I can't do something. And, that's a part of success for me too, because the moment I think I can't do something, I got a problem.
Yeah.
Of course, when I get older, the mind says you can do it, but the body says no. You're going to slow down a little bit. That happens too. That's happening too. So I have to think about that.
No,
But
there was a back that I went for the other day in pickleball, and there was a time. There was a time. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I got there, but for the last several days, I've been regretting getting there.
exactly. It's like having that drink, and then saying I'm gonna have two more, and you're like, wait a minute, I used to be able to drink 5 or 6 of these, but now I can't even drink 2. The payback is lethal.
Yeah.
So
The 2 rounds of Jose Cuervo, I'm calling it a night. Forget 10 rounds.
anything, I'm calling it a night.
No, no, it is a thing, and as both of us speaking, we both are actively trying to take and help people figure out how to get past it. And I think the one thing that you said that really hit on is you're going to get down. It's not if.
That's
It's
right.
coming for you, and your emotional state is going to let you down, and you're going to find yourself, I don't know how the hell I got here, I'm in a pit.
That's right.
It's okay that you're in the pit. It's not okay to stay in the pit.
That's right.
Your job as the HR department for yourself is to have a plan in place to get yourself out of the pit. I've shared it on here many times. There's a few YouTube videos that I go to that I watch. Just reminds me, hey, wait a second. That's not who you are. This is who you are, right?
Exactly. Bring that energy.
Absolutely. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever seen, there's a scene from a movie called Facing the Giants, the death crawl scene. Oh, if you've never seen it, oh, please YouTube it. It's going to be one of your favorites. It's been amazing. Facing the Giants, it's about a football team that was like a 0-win little Christian school, high school team, and they wound up, doing something really, really great. But there's a death crawl scene.
Fantastic.
Death crawl scene. Oh, look it up. I'll give you my phone number. You can tell me how much you enjoyed it because it's right into Facing the Giants. That I'll watch. I tell people all the time. I'll watch Secretariat's Belmont. You watch Secretariat and that Belmont, and you don't think you can go out there and run? Ah, man.
I love underdog movies, because when the underdog wins, it's awesome, because a lot of people don't get that. And I always say, everybody can't win all the time, because sometimes we just don't have it. And sometimes when Monday comes, I'll tell you, I always say to myself, and the hits keep coming. What's coming next? And then I wake up Tuesday and it might be the same thing. But the problem with all of that is you just got to take it on and keep moving. And a lot of people don't.
Rocky Balboa, that latest movie.
Yeah.
Life isn't about how hard you hit; it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving
That's right.
forward. You can take. If you haven't, I always suggest that if you haven't seen that movie recently, watch that Rocky Balboa, the last one that he made where he fought. If you want a movie, especially as somebody that's we're no longer able to get to that backhanded pickleball anymore. Yeah, that movie, it wasn't even about winning the fight. It was about proving to himself that he could go back out there and he could take it.
I remember that. I'm a Philly girl. You know that. I grew up in Philly, so I know all about Mr. Rocky.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. I almost feel bad talking about it here because I talk about that movie on this podcast quite a bit, because even the first time I saw it immediately I was like, this is something special. And as I've watched it a few other times now with people.
And you just keep fighting. You have to fight.
Yeah.
If you want anything in life, nothing's easy. If it was easy, like lots of my good friends, Jane, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Everybody would be where you are. Everybody would be where they are. You want to get there, you have to fight, or you have to go where the action is, one or the other. So, you're in the wrong place, wrong time. You make your move. You have to decide. If you can't make a decision, someone said something to me really profound not too long ago. They said, Jane, not making a decision is making a decision. That
Sure.
hit me like a ton of,
Stand still.
salt.
Analysis paralysis. Yep.
And I was like, damn, I never thought about it like that. I
Sure.
made a decision because I'm not making that decision. So my decision is I'm going to sit where I am. And
Yeah.
that was,
Indecision is a decision. It absolutely is.
yeah,
No.
you'd be surprised. Some people say things that will live with you forever, and you choose which way you want to deal with that.
Yeah. No. We face so many choices, and sometimes by not making a choice, we choose the worst of the
Oh,
other options that are out there.
jeez.
I
I
mean,
know.
one of the best places I could say that is that you'll see that most frequently with people, especially as a coach. I see it all the time. Is in relationships. People that stay in bad, both business relationships
Mhm.
and especially romantic relationships.
Oh,
Brutal. They know it's poison, but their fear of the unknown, the fear of having to start from scratch, the fear of sunk cost. I've sunk so much into this that I don't want to go someplace else is epic. And it leaves people in this version of themselves that's such a lesser version that they know is a lesser version.
absolutely.
And they
Absolutely. I
don't
would
admit
walk away with nothing if I felt that.
it. Yeah.
I know people that they want to stay and fight for something. If it's that bad, leave. I don't care. We watch these crazy shows, Forensic Files, and I always think, why didn't they just leave?
Why didn't they just go? Just
Why did they have to kill him or
yeah.
kill her? Why didn't he just leave? You know?
That was not the other, that there were other options they could have gone to besides this. They could have pivoted
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
choices.
exactly. That's the word. They could have pivoted,
All
but
right, so
no, they choose to take, the really, really low road, and you go, damn.
it is. But I mean, a lot of times people paint themselves in that emotional corner themselves.
Yeah,
I want to take and give you a lightning round, James, because we've actually been going for a little while here now, and it's been great talking. But a little bit of a lightning round here.
yeah.
Give you a couple of quick chances to weigh in. What are you most proud of in business that you've done? First thing that comes to mind.
First thing that comes to mind, the climb.
Okay,
The
proud of
climb.
it. I love it. Good
A lot of
stuff.
people see the climb. They always see when you're at the top,
Yeah,
but the climb, hard, aggressive. You put my gloves on, never took them off,
that's right.
and I won.
Love
And
it.
that's what I can say. The climb, even though it was hard as hell, the
If it was easy, it wouldn't be worth talking about.
exactly. And
That's it.
the icing on the cake was or is I can do whatever I want now.
That freedom that comes
Freedom.
with it. Beautiful. All right. What one book or movie would you recommend to our listeners?
Well, for the young folks, I probably would recommend Money by Tony Robbins. It
Okay.
teaches you what to do. It teaches you how to grow it. It teaches you to take your time with it and create somewhat of generational wealth with your family that will come about.
Love it.
Um, Love Actually, the movie.
I almost watched that last night again. It is such a good stinking movie.
It is, right? It's a sappy movie, but it is. And another one is Family Man with Nicolas Cage, who had everything.
Mm,
And it goes backwards. It works backwards. They send him back to when he was leaving his girlfriend, and I think he was going to work with Ernest Young in London. And he
mm,
did. He went to London, but his girlfriend, who's Tia, what's her name? Beautiful blonde, Tia something. What's
ew. I'm terrible with names.
Oh, Tia, I can't think. Tila, beautiful. You know her name. Yeah, gorgeous girl. Anyway, he left her and she begged him and she said, I choose us. Please stay. And he
Yeah.
left. So that was it for their life.
Then had he stayed.
Had he
Yeah.
stayed, they took him back to see what he missed. because he
Yeah.
went into the store one night and Don Cheadle was in there and said to him, Don Cheadle was he was, they thought he was stealing something from the store, but he wasn't. And
Yeah.
he said, I'll pay for it for you. And then he walked outside and Nicolas Cage and he had a conversation. And Nicolas Cage said, I'll give you this money. And he said, well, let me give you something. And Nicolas Cage said, I don't need anything.
Mhm.
And that was it. He sent them back to what he missed in his life. And he had everything. He was like the Wolf of Wall Street who had everything.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
a beautiful movie. I watched it twice, actually.
So
It
let me
just,
give you one. Let me give you one to share with you because I just watched it last night instead of Love Actually. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on. I want to say it's on. I know it's on Prime. The man who created.
I have Prime.
I have that. The man who I think it's called The Man Who Invented Christmas, and it is the story of the writing of A Christmas Carol. And so the story of Charles Dickens writing, the ghost of Christmas past and present
Yes,
and future, so very much like the Nicolas Cage story. But that's all right. So for everybody to know, A Christmas Carol, without fail, makes me cry every time. I mean, it gets me every
Yeah.
time. That story of redemption, of a heart changed, I'm a sucker for it, right? This movie did the exact same thing. Really a worthwhile watch. So I don't usually normally make recommendations on here, but I'll throw that one out there for you because I think if you like that, you'll appreciate the story. And A Christmas Carol and that movie really, really worthwhile.
I'm such a huge movie fan.
Oh,
You watch a movie, I'll start writing them down, make mental records, and I'm watching them. Trust me.
oh
You're
yeah.
gonna
Well,
watch a movie, and I'm gonna say I watched that movie.
well, I don't even for Christmas. I don't even seen The Holiday, another romantic comedy.
Mhm.
But The Holiday is a really pretty good one as well.
Which one?
The Holiday. It's with
Oh, I saw that with the
yeah,
two girls.
with the
Yes.
two they swap homes and they wind up. Yeah. All right. Let me toss this one out. Besides watching movies, what do you do to unwind?
Have a glass of wine and watch a movie.
There we go. So the second half, folks, is she gets the glass of wine. That's what she does to unwind. Beautiful. Last two questions. What is next for you?
Unpacking my life.
Okay. That's the
That's
big project.
Oh, absolutely.
Love it. Love it.
Absolutely.
Jane, if folks want to find you, they want to see more about your speaking or your real estate, whatever, where do folks find you?
They can find me at Jane Bond __ on Instagram and Jane Bond TBA at Facebook.
Love it.
I
Well,
just got on TikTok. I'm not even sure how to use it yet. So
I don't know if I'm talking or ticking. I'm with you 100%. It's a
I
thing.
love it.
I have people for that. I am so not a social media guy. It's but luckily my people post for me there and whatever, so it works out. Jane,
Just
thank you. Jane, thank you so much for your time, for hanging out with us, and for being so generous with your time. Really appreciate you.
Josh, you too. This has been a wonderful interview. I think one of the best I've had, and I would love to see you again. And hopefully, I'll run into you, on the other side.
We literally on the other side of my state here, so we need to make that happen. I go that way a lot. We'll have to take and connect one day.
Don't wave. Stop.
It's going to be a thing. Gonna make it happen. All right, guys. Everybody, thank you so much for listening, for hanging out with us here on the Know Your Shit podcast. Reminding you always, stop chasing paychecks. Start closing customers for life. Till next time.